What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for returning once again, my friends. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but the downstairs neighbor, they're playing some real smooth reggaeton, and it's got me feeling some kind of way, amiga. Oh, my pretty bonita. Come to me, and we shall dance the dance of love. I do not know how much longer I can contain myself, my dear. Come take my hand as we go and dance into the cosmos together with very little clothing. Okay, anyway, guys, listen, I want to bring to you this really weird story that I saw on foxnews.com. And just to get your opinion on what this means, I just did a video talking about inclusion and how the road to hell is paved on inclusion and stuff like that. And these stories just keep on coming out, guys. We really got to think about the direction that we're going in right now. I don't care if you're white, if you're black, or whatever. I believe that equality is good for everybody, you know what I mean? But all of these stories that are coming out, they're talking about stifling these people so you can uplift these people. And I think you know what I mean when I say these people versus those people versus you people. Pronouns, baby. So anyway, this article says here, Disney chief says ABC passed on incredibly well-written scripts that lacked diversity. You heard right, buddy. Disney chief says ABC passed on incredibly well-written scripts that just lack diversity. Oh, yeah. Okay, it goes on to say, ABC announced a set of inclusion standards last year following the death of George Floyd. Of course, it's always following the death of George Floyd. You know what really fascinated me last year more than the little coronavirus phenomenon and all that stuff and the masking and all that stuff. What really, really got to me as far as mass, like mind control and all this stuff is how the death of George Floyd just like flicked on the light of decency, if you want to hear the media tell it, for the whole world. Like the second coming of Jesus had to have been George Floyd because he apparently died to save the world. He died for the sins of the world. It's like when he died, all the munchkins came running out on some, you're out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night. Step into the sun, step into the light. You know what I mean? And everyone was just running around and it was a giant awakening and George Floyd was laying there dead underneath the house and all that stuff. But that's all it took to awaken everybody. So over on ABC, the death of George Floyd apparently awakened them to want to do what they're considering to be the right thing by adopting a policy of inclusion. Okay, so it goes on to say here. One of Disney's top bosses has spoken candidly about pilots the company passed on due to lack of diversity in their scripts. Are we talking about airplane pilots? Like what, I guess it's show pilots, right? Because it's ABC and they deal with television. So, and she goes on to say, I will tell you, for the first time, we received some incredibly well-written scripts that did not satisfy our standards in terms of inclusion, and we passed on them. It's interesting. She says, for the first time, they received some incredibly well-written scripts for the first time? I guess so, looking at ABC's programming. It's definitely been a long time since they had some incredibly well-written scripts. But they passed on them. You would think that that would be their first criteria when you're talking about new programming. You want some incredibly well-written scripts. She didn't say that they were some good okay written scripts. She said they were incredibly well-written scripts. All right, and they passed on them because they failed to meet their criteria for diversity and inclusion. Because God knows you can only have one show that is like inclusive of everybody, right? So you can't just have one show that focuses on one particular type of family or experience, right? It's got to check every box. Every show does. So it says, Dana Walden, Walt Disney Television's chairman of entertainment, said during a panel discussion last week, according to the Hollywood Reporter. Of course, pat Dana on the back now, pat her on the back. Good for you, Dana. As an example, Walden cited a script that told the story of a white family and whose diversity of characters would likely to have come from the neighbors. Okay, so it focuses on the white family, but the diversity of characters would have come from the neighbors. What's wrong with that? It's a neighborhood, right? It's like these are the people that you meet in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Oh, a Negro's a person in your neighborhood. He's a person that you meet when you're walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? He's there. So there's your diversity. I mean, it's like I said, it's just one show. It doesn't have to check every box, I would think. So anyway, pass, Walden said. That's not going to get on the air anymore because that's not what our audience wants. That's not a reflection of our audience, and I feel good about the direction that we're moving in. All right, so she's saying that stories about white families are not going to get on the air anymore because it doesn't reflect it doesn't reflect what our audience wants. It's not a reflection of our audience. Listen, let's be honest here. The last time I checked the demographics of America and stuff like that, it's still predominantly Caucasian, is it not? So you're telling me that the majority of people in this country, including Caucasians, don't want to see stories of Caucasians? They don't want to see stories of white people at all now. I'm not saying that they can't be like a sharing of programming. They don't want to see it at all. Even if it's a story of a white family at 8:30 and then at 9 o'clock it's the story of an Indian family. No, we don't want to see that. We don't want that white family at all is basically what they're saying. And I think that's unfortunate. So anyway, it goes on to say last year, ABC announced a set of inclusion standards on screen and behind the scenes amid the cultural reckoning following the death of George Floyd in a Minneapolis police custody. All right, so it says, as THR previously reported, TV programs had to fulfill at least 3 of the 5 standards, which includes at least 50% of characters and or actors representing underrepresented groups, the meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups among secondary characters, as well as themes and narratives from such groups integrated in the series' premise and episodic storytelling. All right, so they pretty much broke it down really well. And I just think they're a little bit short-sighted because, number one, when you look at, like, say, some of my favorite shows of all time, say, like, All in the Family, things like that. Okay, All in the Family, for example, it was about a white family that was headed by a bigot, okay? And not only that, but from All in the Family came a spinoff. That spinoff, at least one of them at least, was the Jeffersons, all right? The Jeffersons went on to become classic TV. So even though it started, as a show about a white family or whatever, look at what happened because of superior writing and the incredible talent of the larger ensemble. So when you say that you had an exceptionally great pilot that was written about a white family and the diversity would have come from the neighbors, well, if you have some really talented actors that are supporting actors and stuff like that, then there goes your chance of a spinoff is pretty high up there, and then from there you have more diversity. So like I said, I find it to be very, very short-sighted. And number two, I don't see any announcements about this woman giving up her position. You know what I mean? So it says that it's going to be behind the scenes, but that's not part of the 5-point plan that they were talking about. So what are you just going to have, like, stories of black people that are not written by black people or anything like that? I mean, that's the way it was kind of in the 70s, wasn't it? When they called it blaxploitation. So once again, I don't exactly see what they're going for. I just think that it's laughable that these people, they can't get a hold on this thing, man. Diversity and inclusion is actually a diversion from artistic expression and the progression of really good entertainment. It stands in the way of good entertainment, if you ask me. And that's what we're looking at right here. So they're saying they're just not going to do it. And I don't know, guys. I don't think we're moving forward. I don't see this as progression. But you guys can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about this story. Do you think that it's a good direction to be moving in? To say we're just not going to do any stories of white families because it doesn't check all of our boxes. We're just not going to do it. And isn't that kind of discrimination? That's not what we really want in this country. What we want is equality. We don't want this kind of thing. You know what I mean? But that's what we're dealing with. So guys, you can get in the comment section and give me your opinion on this. As always, I welcome it. And you can like, you can share, you can subscribe, you can catch me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Guys, thank you for listening to me, and I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.